my friends stand by me only if I'm right. I come out of triple darkness just to see the light. If I say it once, I guarantee I say it twice. If they want me, I ain't going out without a fight. In my dreams, I'm a killer, but for God, man. Try to play it cool, but it's getting hard, man. Rolling with the real and death to all the frauds, man. Not too many of me, yeah, it's kinda hard, man. In my room, sitting in my room. Know they waiting on me and I'm coming soon. Never been a sellout, never been a coon. Y'all be on the camera acting like I'ma show them how I true it.
So you deal with controversy in family. You deal with controversy in business. You deal with controversy at your job. And the reality of the situation is that if you were created in this universe, there's nothing that can happen in this universe that God didn't create you to overcome.
That's right. That's right.
That's one thing that we always have to remember.
D2M crew at the Code Building. Back family in Charlottesville, Virginia. It's the crew chopping it up. Today you'll notice something a little different like last episode we presented you. We got some of the B2M crew sons on the podcast with us. We're going to be working them in on episodes from here on out, hopefully pending their very busy young adult and adult schedules. But we're so excited to bring them in. We've been for a year and a half been talking to you about our parenting. And y'all, let us see some of these dudes they talking about. So today with us, we got one of the oldest out of the crew, Coach Joaquin's son, Darius, over there. Shout him out, Darius.
What's good,
and
word?
over again, our producer extraordinaire, iHeart Media's finest, podcast award-winning journalist, Tariq on the move over here with his day in his father's spot, the great Chill brothers, and of course my man JG here. But look, we're talking about since y'all young.
Hey, let me introduce.
What I missed. Oh man.
Hey, my nephew Haki.
Look how they do you, man. First time on the podcast.
Oh, man.
I'll introduce myself,
I can't
man.
even apologize.
Hey, nephew Haki.
I'll introduce
Nuevo
myself,
Black
man.
Jr.
My name is Haki, Nuevo's youngest son, man. I'm here, and I'm excited, brother.
Okay,
Let's go. Peace to everybody.
And can I apologize to my son? How did I forget this apology?
Hey, man.
I'm excited.
You got him
That's
about
fine.
forgetting Uncle Bo last show.
I did.
And wait, and before you start, can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
Y'all notice how y'all numbers done went up, right? Because you got us on.
That's
all I'm gonna say.
Hey, I'm
y'all
here
numbers
for
done
it.
increase.
I'm here
That's
for
how it
it.
works.
As long as y'all know that this is a work for hire arrangement and not a
I didn't
contractual
sign,
percentage.
hey, we didn't sign any paperwork. It's documented. Make sure you keep this film for court.
Hey, we got controversy already, and ironically, we're gonna be talking today about dealing with controversy, right? What did we, as me and JG, what did we talk to our sons? How did we parent through controversy? What are our thoughts about just dealing with controversy? What do we mean by controversy? Well, somebody by the name of Diddy this week, his son, was it King Combs? Is this the son to put out the diss track?
Yes, he did.
He put out a diss track against 50 Cent, who was criticizing Diddy, who was involved in sexual abuse allegations and lawsuits and settlements. And in part of the song, he sort of called the government out like, y'all raided his house and ain't even come up with nothing. But guess what? The next day, CNN had a video of him dragging and kicking Cassie. And really, a lot of people believe that's the death knell. You know, I don't know what legally that's going to mean, but he's done career-wise, right? Unfortunately, and it was horrific. But that's a controversy. We got the hip-hop and Drake beef and J. Cole beef. We got controversy. We got what Israel purports to be a war for justice and what Palestinians and many people in the world call a genocide. Controversy. We got college students on campuses protesting. They're being arrested and locked up. They got infiltrators coming in. Controversy. We got Trump on trial. We live in a society where controversy is bleeding out of America's fabric, right? What does you all's take just in general? Let's talk about the national stuff first. When you all as young adults and y'all see this stuff, man, what is it vis-a-vis what your parents have taught you about life in the world? Did we prepare y'all for this stuff?
It's tough because when I see controversy, I think a lot of people look at it and they just see Diddy as a character and they see Trump as a character, but these are human beings. And I think a lot of times people don't like the success that they have And so they push on them a little harder. Now, I'm not taking up for Diddy or Trump, but I think they push on them a little harder. But I think when you understand that you're a human being and you make mistakes and anybody can be in that position, I think you view it a little differently. So personally, I don't like the negativity and all of the controversy because I know the type of stuff I got with me too. And I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
Right.
So I feel for both the person being accused as well as the victim, obviously. But I mean, it's everywhere now. And like Cat Williams said, 2024 the year of truth.
When you say you feel for the person being accused, what do you feel?
Empathy, because personally I've been in that situation. I feel sorry for him, and I understand. You know what I mean? That
now you ain't kicked nobody in the head, did you?
No, I'm not beating
because
women on camera.
What I'm saying, I'm making it separate because some of the stuff is allegation and some of it for him.
Yeah.
Hey man,
that's video. That's video. So, you know what I mean? So I still feel
on a human
I always
level.
feel empathy for someone, even if they've done egregious crimes, because for someone to be there, that lets you know the type of things that they've been through. So on a human level, I always feel empathy for a person,
right?
Whether they're justified for what they're doing or not, which obviously you beating on a woman.
Now, do you feel also that he should be held accountable if he did it?
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you can't be out here beating women. That's
That's
you know, top violation.
Absolutely.
Top violation for sure.
And I'm gonna help Darius out too and clarify a little bit because locally Charlottesville with the Jesse Matthew thing, right? That's tragic all around.
Right.
But that happened to Newham and I happened to coach him. You know what I mean? I had a personal relationship with him.
Yeah.
So I absolutely have empathy for him without excusing what happened, what he really did. So I just wanted to
and the only reason I wanted him the biggest part I wanted him to elaborate on is what you feel, because he was getting at this human piece.
Right,
and that's
right.
what's missing to me from the national dialogue is the humanity when tragedy is present. Like, can you feel for the hurt and those that hurt? Yeah, because if you're the one perpetuating it, I feel for you. I feel sorry for you. And back to the thing, I thought about this too. If Diddy has become that kind of a monster, what happened?
Right.
What happened to him?
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't excuse none of the stuff, but it just says it's a human tragedy. You know, what do you think, Tyreek?
Yeah, now I agree with what y'all was saying, especially like when it comes to a certain situation like that. There's some trauma somewhere that took place, you know, or some type of situation, or like you said, tragedy or anything like that. But then, but yeah, going back to what y'all saying, you know, looking at all this controversy, I mean, it's sad that we got all these situations going on, man. I'm gonna tell you who and I know I'm not gonna get too deep into the situation itself, but I'm gonna tell you what I've been seeing, and it's been kind of making me sad a little bit. So like, when we got the you know, the war and stuff going on, the Gaza, Palestine, all that stuff. I'm gonna tell you there's been a lot of protests going on about the college campuses and stuff. There have been some college campuses that have canceled graduation ceremonies because of the protests. I feel bad for those people. You mean to tell me these people that spent all these thousands of dollars to go to school and get these credits and stuff, and now you telling me I can't graduate and walk across the stage? We got a problem.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about? And I'm gonna share with you a response that they asked the brother on. I think me and you were watching the interview.
We were watching. Yeah, we were.
Do you
watching
remember what he said?
You know,
I do. I think
ahead.
I remember. We were watching his brother, and they interviewed him. He was out there, and they said, "Well, what do you think about all of these people that can't graduate?" And he said, "You know what? Unfortunately, it'll be some more graduations and some other ways they can celebrate, but them babies that got murdered, I think that's a little more important than us to point out somebody couldn't make a graduation." Now, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but there's a balance.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I agree.
I think I'm pointing to, I'm wondering out loud, Haki, do you think because of the tragic nature of stuff like that, that some of those prices that Tyreek are talking about and those pain, because that's horrible. I know I'd have been hot.
Yeah.
Right? Some of those are just, you just got charged into the game because
It's a necessary price. Any revolution, anything of value comes with a price. It comes with some type of suffrage. You understand? So what I was going to say was, you had a question earlier when you said, did your parents prepare you for controversy? I would say yes. And I would say yes because there's 3 sub themes to dealing with controversy, in my opinion. One is fear, right? You got to be fearless, or if you are fear, you got to be willing to challenge your fears in order to deal with controversy. Because sometimes you have to stand on truth, right? You have to love truth more than you love your money, and sometimes you have to sacrifice your life for the truth. Another one is love, right? You have to love yourself enough to the point where as though when everyone is going against you, right? You love the foundation in which your beliefs come, and you have to love yourself enough to not believe everything that people say about you that's negative because they don't understand what where you're coming from. Another one is understanding, right? And that goes back to when the brother said that, talking about the babies that are dying in Palestine versus, people who can't walk, right? He's recognizing that people can't walk, which is serious, but he's understanding the nature, right, of the situation and the politics in which we're talking about, right? Since we're talking about Palestine, what does the Quran say? The Quran says that hard trials are necessary to establish the truth. So you deal with controversy in family, you deal with controversy in business, you deal with controversy at your job. And the reality of the situation is that if you were created in this universe, there's nothing that can happen in this universe that God didn't create you to overcome.
That's right. That's right.
That's one thing that we always have to remember.
Yes, sir.
That's deep.
Hey, it's about perspective, right? And that's all about. That was phenomenal, nephew. That was excellent.
Y'all the same person.
Yeah, that's Nuevo Jr., right? 1,000%. Yeah, man. But like you said, you go to college. I'm so thankful for those young folks, right? What's the statement? Wars for the young folks. And,
Old men for counsel, young men for war.
Yeah. And I'm so thankful that they're making that sacrifice and creating that disturbance. And like Frederick Douglass said, agitate, right? And so when you send you to school, we want that moment to get that paper, right? But we send you there for something much greater than that. And so you still go get that degree. You may not have that moment per se, but think about this moment and the sacrifice and what they're fighting for. They children and their family gonna be very proud of them, the stance that they took. You know what I mean? Just like we proud of the folks that took the stance of our forefathers, we stand on their shoulders.
I'm sitting there thinking about saying, Joaquin not here though. I'm gonna call out what he talked about with the Tiki Torch March here, because that was a controversy, right?
Yeah.
That was the biggest. That might have been one of the biggest controversies in this community historically. And I ain't been here 15, 20 years, but from a distance, those of us that were from here, and as militant as I am, man, when they was talking about Charlottesville, I was mad as I don't know what up there.
Yeah.
They was like, Corey, your hometown, look at us. Yo, that's not us. Yeah. Now I'm us. That week I'm us. That's them people from somewhere else.
Yeah.
We would never do that in Charlottesville. Then I said, you know what? The racism is so sublime, they would be too embarrassed to walk down the street with a torch. They're just gonna change the policy and not let you own that. But anyway, when Joaquin said I wanted my family to be there to say we got a responsibility to be there, that's the modeling of what we do with controversy. That's what you said. We run into the fire. We expose ourselves to that. So and that's it. I just wanted to point that out. Darius, what was your take, man? Like when your family was going down there, just in terms of like this stuff going on, what was your energy about that? You know what I'm saying? When Pops was like, yo, let's go, or whatever.
First of all, my energy was totally different because I experienced something that nobody here experienced.
Oh, please tell us about that.
Because the incident happened on August 12th, correct?
Yeah, for the audience, we're talking about the Unite the Right Rally in Charlottesville, where the far right people with tiki torches and Nazi symbols came complaining about Jews, and blacks were beaten. A young white lady was killed, run over by one of the protesters, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so the day
protest
before,
about that statue, right?
It's about the statue, the Confederate statue being brought down.
Yeah.
Shout out to our brother Bellamy. It's Dr. Bellamy now, right? I still think he's an unheralded hero. I never met him yet, but I got to meet brother. Because now what you see going on nationally is them voting to bring statues and renaming schools back.
Yeah.
Anyway, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, but the day before all of that happened, there was some mini marches. But I was driving Uber that Friday, so August 11th, and I came up on Locust Avenue Street in Charlottesville, real close to downtown, and it was a young kid outside, a white kid, and he was like, "Hey, hold on, man, I got some friends coming." And it was getting dark, still a little light out. So I'm like, all right, cool. Go texting on my phone, and then back door open, front door open. Everybody's at my car. Come on in, just another day. And when I look, it's 4 people, 3 people get in the back, 1 gets in the front, and the guy that gets in the front has swastikas tattooed on him, on his face, head. I turn around, they all looking the same. I got 4 Nazis in the car with me.
What?
That are extreme white supremacists, and this is what they're here for.
Yeah.
And at this point, I got a lot of stuff going through my head. And I took them to I didn't want to ask them to get out the car. It's 4 of them. It's 1 of me.
Right.
So I just tried to keep the peace. And I took them actually where I used to play basketball. It's called the Dell. And when I pulled up to the Dell and I looked in the parking lot, it was 100 Klansmen with hoods on, full white robes, and that's what they were there for. And I hit the brakes, and they got out the car, and I hit a U-turn and got the hell out of there. And then they left me 5 stars.
Can I just name?
Wow.
But look, can
That's
I just name?
crazy.
Can I just name that Darius gave us an example of how you deal with controversy. That was a controversy.
Absolutely.
It was a larger controversy. Then there was a controversy in your Uber.
Yeah, and we had some
more
conversation.
conflict.
I didn't want to dive too deep into the story, but we had some
No,
conversation.
bro, go
because
dive. Why we not diving?
Well, I asked him. The first thing I said was, I asked them, "Am I okay? Am I okay? Am I safe?" They said, "Yeah, man, we don't got a problem with you." I said, I see what y'all got going on. What are y'all here for?" And they said, "Well, let's just say we believe in the old ways of this country." I said, "Well, that's interesting." And then we started to have a conversation, and we were talking about books and a whole bunch of stuff. And what I realized is that they were just extremely ignorant. They were talking about books. They had the authors wrong. Just a lot of their information just was incorrect. And I was correcting them. But halfway through, I was like, I need to chill out because, they might get upset. I don't want to upset them
You
too
don't
much.
be one of them smart
No,
guys.
hey, look,
exactly.
what's the dude name from the Proud Boys? That dude from Florida, the brother that was leading the group
Yeah.
in the
man,
Capitol.
I know you're
He getting the
talking
most time.
What's it?
They was about to promote Darius. They gave him 5 stars. He educated him. He got the book right. What's our black leader's name that's gonna help us take down blacks in the government?
And you said they had kids too? Like they kids? Was it
No,
parents
it
and
was
kids?
it
or
was
was
a
kids?
it was a young kid. He was like my age because this was some years ago. I get what was it, 6 years ago?
This was in
7
2017.
years ago. Yeah, so I was 23. I had just got out of college.
Yeah.
And the kid was about my age. He was in college, but I guess they put him out front to look innocent.
Yeah.
And then when they all came out, the rest of them were adults. And what I found out later, if you watch the documentary, the house that they were at on Locust Avenue is the house that what's the Spencer guy name?
Yeah. Richard Spencer.
Richard
Yeah,
Spencer.
yeah.
They were in that house basically having a damn Klan rally. And if you watch the documentary, they were in there discussing their plans for the next day. That's the house it all took place.
Man,
at.
you could have been the spook
dang.
that sat next to the door. Everybody familiar with that movie?
Yeah.
Everybody, all OGs familiar with the spook next to the door, the brother that was infiltrated, the FBI and all of that.
Right.
Hakeem, can you please share? Man, what I want to say is, I want to point out for parents that teach your children when dealing with these dangerous situations that Brother Darius disarmed them with his question. Because if he was on some type of time, like, hey, what up? Y'all get out my car. He said, am I safe? That's a non-threatening question in a dangerous situation.
He analyzed the situation.
Yeah.
He measured it up.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It's 1 on 4.
Yeah.
And,
I can say I learned something from that. Because
Because
that wouldn't have been my response.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, "Oh, he a sucker," or they would have done something different. Let me tell you something. If you in a car with 4 Klansmen by yourself, You ain't gonna do nothing different unless you want to die.
And you can, hey, I want you, Hakeem, will you tell them the story my brother, your uncle shared with us that was, and I referenced Emmett Till?
Yes, you did. All right, so yeah, my uncle is a DC government worker. He had a conference in West Virginia, you know. After the conference was over, I believe it was after it was over, it was a lady who referred him to this such restaurant, right? You know, she said the food was great, so he went there. And while he was eating, a white gentleman walked in and said, "Hey, I don't think it's too good for you to be here." Or something, I'm paraphrasing. I don't think this is the right place for you. Somewhere along them lines. He's like, all right, you know, cool. He's keeping it cool, right? And after he was done, someone who said, you know, a lumberjack type dude, looked like he worked in a coal mine, walked in and said, "Hey, this ain't the place for you to be." He said, all right, and he left. The important thing, he did something similar to what Darius did. He assessed the situation and he was astute, right? Because he could have said, I go where I please. I can do what I want to do.
This is America.
Yeah, this is America. I'm a citizen. I pay taxes. I probably make more money than you. You a poor person from West Virginia, right? However, he said, you know what? I'm in an unfamiliar town, a state that's known to be racist. Two gentlemen that walked up to me and gave me a warning, a condescending warning. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna leave. Sometimes you have to assess the situation and leave, right? In Darius' situation, you know, he couldn't leave. He had these people in his car, right? And he was taking them to a certain place. He doesn't know where he's taking them to, because if he got loud with him and there was 100 claims of, hey, it's a nigga out here, he's talking crazy. That could have turned into a totally different situation. He could have been a martyr in a sense for this Unite the Right rally, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, he chose to be astute, and he was smart. And you know,
What does that tell you about America today at 23 years old?
What it tells me about America today is not only how divided the country is, but that there's this silent, sizable amount of people who are not happy to see progression and change, right? And, you know, a lot of people, you know, one thing that I keep hearing and ever since Trump was in office was, oh, the country's never been so divided, right? Well, really, the way I interpret that is that white people have never been so divided. Because black people have never felt fully integrated into this country.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
What do you mean the country's never been so divided? Jim Crow was in the 60s. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Literally separated.
Yeah,
Exactly. Literally.
They killed. Go ahead.
No. That's powerful, boy. The Emmett Till reference I made was because my brother, man, this was 2 or 3 days ago I'm talking about. Like, you know, and the dynamic with Hakeem Pope, I was like, they looking at him. He's a, you know, federal government worker. He had a government conference, probably had on a shirt and tie. You come into one of the poorest countries in the country looking like you eating at one of the best restaurants in the area, you know, just by yourself. After the conference director said, hey, go for such and such. And the warning, though, was the first guy, I said, they warned him, but they also could have been the murderers. Because you could take this warning and we'll do you, or we'll text everybody to let them know we warned them.
It's a lookout versus a warning,
Yeah,
right?
it could be whatever way you
however
want it
look
to
at
go.
Yeah.
Now, my brother is 6'2", you know, 2'6", big man.
Yeah.
Prideful, just like
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I got a lot of mouth. I could have died. I mean, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done what he did. But the point is, in 2024, parents, please do not let your children think it's sweet out here and that we in some changed world where they don't have to protect themselves. And then dealing with the controversy, if they don't think first, their emotional reaction can get them killed. You know.
The Boys to Men podcast, or B2M podcast, is about 5 guys who've been friends for over 40 years. Between the 5 of us, we've been married for over 100 combined years. Between the 5 of us, we have 13 children, 12 sons. We discuss in our podcast about our journeys into fatherhood and how we raised our sons to be fine young men. From 6-figure earners at LinkedIn to a professional Call of Duty player. College educated entrepreneurs, that's who we are. Our podcast is not a how to do it podcast. It is a podcast about how we did it. Come check us out.
You know, Tyreek, what did you learn from what you said your cousin just shared, bro?
Yeah. Nah, well, he was, first of all, I didn't know that story. Yeah. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
First of all. But nah, I don't think I would have responded like that.
Right.
I think I would have probably asked him nicely to get out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just would have been my response because I'm already in fear. And me personally, I don't think I'm going to make it to the destination.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking him to get out.
Right.
And that's what I would have did.
And
I don't know how it would have went.
But you know what? I almost think that's the second best response.
Absolutely.
Because you did the same thing. You're putting yourself in a position where you're not in a dangerous, threatening situation where you're outnumbered. You're not putting yourself in a position of being the authority.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like who you think he is?
Had they
Hey,
been
moral
on the
authority don't
sidewalk,
mean
I
nothing
would have.
there.
Saying that?
Had they been on the sidewalk, I would have. But
Right.
by the time I realized what was going on, they were in the car.
Yeah.
I would have, if they were on the sidewalk, I'd had some words and pulled off. But when they were in the car, I didn't.
Bro, you could have, like you said, you could have been thinking, I'm about to get stabbed in the neck or something. I don't
Yeah,
in the back of the
exactly.
head. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because no telling what they would have done while you was driving.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you
Yeah.
know.
So that's on the broad national level. When we talk about, though, when we take it on a more practical, daily life, human level for all of us, right? In dealing with controversy, when you're faced with a controversial situation, Tyreek, what's your thought process? What's your methodology?
Shoot, I haven't been in a lot of them. I would say for me, I'm always trying to figure out how to make the situation better.
Okay.
Whatever situation
That's a
that I'm
good
in.
start,
Because
yeah.
I'm trying to get out of it. I don't like controversy.
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm not a controversial person, but I don't like dealing with the negative effects of controversy. So I'm always trying to figure out a way out and trying to figure out how to make the situation better. So that's the way I'm assessing it. And I seek wise counsel. I ask advice. I'm always asking Dad for advice, or, whoever around me and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm always trying to figure out how to make the
But
situation
you do
better.
know controversy is always inevitable.
Yeah,
You just
it's
don't
gonna
prefer
come.
it. Yeah.
It's gonna come. We always gonna face controversy, trials and tribulations, stuff like that.
It's
It happens.
odd because as a journalist, when I look at you from afar as a journalist,
Yeah.
and the type of journalistic risk you take, and how bold you do with some of the angles you have, it's kind of hard for me to see that you shy from controversy because as a journalist, you're very aggressive.
Yeah. Oh, I'll talk about the
But
controversy.
to me, you might not even
But-
see it as controversy. That's what I think I'm saying because you seem like to me like you don't. I guess what you're when I see you being like just steady, I would describe it.
Yeah.
And not bothered. For you, maybe that's all one controversy. For me, I was like, he unbothered. Like, I just do this. I don't know. So
Yeah. Nah, I've been. I just tell y'all the most controversy I done is I done covered Trump rallies.
okay.
I done been there. And at first I was a little scared at first, like when I did my first one and stuff. And I was like, I don't know what they're gonna think about me. Are they gonna try to gang up on me? Are they gonna try to, are they gonna yell at me, be like, you're fake news and this and that and all that stuff. But I went out there and they were surprisingly like really nice. They was talking to me and stuff. And they was being real nice people and stuff. But at the same time, it was still a controversy, just because he's a controversial person. He's probably the most controversial person in the country. I would say
yeah.
So, but I went and, I talked to the people and stuff, and then just interviewing them, you can just hear the delusion and the,
Why do
it's
both of
crazy.
y'all keep going back to these people not being that smart?
Because they, like, I mean, it's just
There's with Melody. They misquoting authors and books.
yeah, like when you talk to them, you can hear that they just not educated.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as simple as that.
So where, from a journalist perspective, where do you inject your opinion, or do you just say this is their stance, I'm going to ask them a challenging questions regardless if I agree or disagree with their stance.
So when it comes to giving your opinion, no. But if they say something blatantly wrong, like if they say something to the point of, oh, January 6th was not illegal or something like that, right? It was illegal. You tried to overthrow the government, right? Or they could say, like, that would be interjecting a fact. But if they say something as an opinion, oh, Joe Biden is the worst president in the United States, something they would say, right? I couldn't then interject and say, oh no, he's the greatest, or whatever. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's different times where you can do it. But if you hear and you'll hear some like the debates are coming up this summer, right? So you gonna hear Trump is gonna say some stuff that's not true, and there's gonna be some debate moderators that are going to fact check what he's saying and interject the facts. And what's true.
Right. Hey, let me ask you, it's 3 college graduates sitting here to the right. So that's a blessing. So Gabriel's not present today. And I know I was talking to him about knowing who he is, knowing what you believe in, and knowing who you are. Always carry yourself with the strength and integrity and character, right? And so you respect everyone, but know who you are. Mm-hmm. And so when he go to college, so we talked about the Palestine-Israel and the protests like that. And any of y'all college time, have you been a part of something like that? It may not be as well known as the Palestinian-Israel thing going on. Were you part of a protest, or was it something that was really going on during your tenure in school?
I was gonna say, I had planned to be part of a protest, but it never actually happened. So I know that I went to school. In the midst of me going to school, the pandemic was taking place, right?
Gotcha.
And I had a really strong opinion about graduating, walking across the stage, and all that stuff.
We know.
And so, yeah. And so, I mean, this is my accomplishment, man. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and so I didn't. At the point when the pandemic first struck, I didn't think I was gonna get a traditional graduation. So I was ready to protest about it, about them giving us actual. If you look at the class of 2020, they ain't get no ceremony. I wasn't gonna sit back and let that not happen. I mean, I understand the pandemic and stuff, but I feel like, shoot, we outside, we got a huge stadium, we can work around it.
Right.
So you didn't mind taking that smoke over a principle?
I didn't mind.
Right.
I was gonna do it
if it was gonna happen.
Yeah, but I don't think we had any. I mean, it was issues on campus, but 9 times out of 10, I was covering the protests anyway.
Yeah, you were on the journalist side.
Yeah. So, just covering it and doing the different interviews and stuff. But I say if that was the situation, then I would have been part of that.
If you really think about it, though, in the last 20 years, there haven't been much to protest on college campuses in America.
But
I was
over the Floyd stuff, I guess.
Yeah, you were covering the George Floyd.
Well, I wasn't.
You wasn't in college.
Honestly, I didn't go to any of the I didn't cover any of the protests. And I'm Yeah. When it was over, I went down there. But I'll just be honest with y'all. The reason I didn't go down there is because I was actually scared.
Mm-hmm.
It was
violent. Yeah, it was.
It was violent, and then I was looking at the stuff they was doing to journalists. Journalists was getting locked up. They was putting them on buses too, spraying them with gas, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah. So, that's very honest. Yeah,
because everybody got a role. You know what I mean? And it's just like when we was talking earlier about the Unite the Right thing. Me and him was in D.C. in the car, and we was like, "Yo, we gonna ride down or what?" Right?
Yeah.
Then we was like, "Okay, but what we gonna do?" With this energy, we talking about going down there.
The energy I had right here, it wouldn't have been good.
And we was like, we can't
talked to each other about that, didn't we?
Exactly. And so fast forward, Isaiah's in Miami right now, and I was at home. Helicopters was flying around. Like, what's happening? What's happening? This was George Floyd situation, right? Everybody's protesting, blocking 66 in Prince William County, blocking the highway, right? I'm like, what? I live a mile off of it. I said, I'm gonna go down there and check it out. And I was like, oh, where Isaiah? Isaiah, where you at? I'm down here. You down where? I'm like, what? I said, hey, look, meet me. Where did we meet at? It was it's not a strip mall. It's a main an artery, right? And I said, meet at the Kaiser Permanente, whatever. And so I met there with two of his buddies, and we went and we protested, right? And I was like, just stick with me. Like, stick together. It's a way to do this, you know?
Yeah.
And then we had some cats throwing rocks and bottles and this and that, the other. And I said, hey, get away from him, because unless you're going to pay the price, because they're going to get him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so he kept wilding, which I wasn't even mad at what he was doing, for real. Yeah. But don't hide behind me, though. If you're going to do it, go take it, right? Right. And next thing you know, they got it with some of them rubber pellets, and he was slumped over, right? Mm-hmm. Behind the bushes. But nonetheless, there was a few situations there that could have been very dangerous, because traffic was still coming through. And I was like, yo, watch your back, because some people were scared and just balling through. And obviously we know what happened to Heather Heyer here. Yeah. You know, so anyway, man, I look back on it and I was so thankful for his consciousness. Yeah. And him and his partners, you know. And I was so thankful that he trusted me to say, hey, let's connect and meet up, because we're going to do this together. We're not going to be separated. Yeah. And then even to the point, right, the buddy he was with, I know his father well. Yeah. I was like, hey, yo, your son is down here with me. Yeah. You know, I got him. Yeah. It's like, okay, cool. And so, man, that was just a good moment that we had. Yeah. You know, and now, again, I was just real happy about his energy and attitude and ready to move forward and make a statement.
Darius, what you remember during that time? You was in school during that time?
Nah, the incident I remember when I was in school happened when I was a freshman. It was 2008. I think I had been at school for like a month, maybe two, and Obama got reelected. And when he got reelected, a bunch of white students went to the minority student housing and was, you know, telling everybody to come outside and throwing bottles and breaking windows and just vandalize the house. So
and this in 2008. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that actually led to me transferring, because I had already felt uncomfortable, because I remember like first week or two I was there, when I came downstairs, one of the people on the first floor had a Confederate flag up, and like their door would always be open. You could look right in and see the Confederate flag. So I never felt welcome or comfortable there, based on what was going on. And then once that happened, that was just icing on the cake. Yeah. But I was going to ask a question of how much of controversy do y'all think comes down to education and being cyclical? For instance, when you look at what's going on in Gaza and stuff, it's a genocide, but the roles are reversed, because the people committing genocide once essentially had the same thing done to them. Mm-hmm. Or when you look at a situation like P. Diddy, and you're looking at somebody that's a sexual abuser or engaging in domestic violence, a lot of times the people who are victims of sexual abuse and domestic violence have had those things done to them. Mm-hmm. So how much of that comes back to educating yourself and healing yourself and breaking generational curses, or, you know, whatever you want to call it.
You got to take on that, Hakeem?
Yeah. So my answer, that's an amazing question, bro. My answer to that would be, I think it has to do with a lot of that, along with other factors. I think it also has to do with character, right? Because, like, you know, no matter education or not, when you see, you know, a genocide taking place, it's people who went to Yale, Harvard, sitting in Congress right now, saying that they support Israel still. And they're supposed to be formally educated, right? So some of it is also character, and some of it is just operating off of principle. So I would say that those are the main three things, and I think that the education is actually most essential for people like us, the everyday people. We need to educate ourselves of the history of Gaza and Palestine and why is this going on, right? Because so then we can hold the lawmakers accountable, right? We can protest. We can not only protest and mobilize, but because of our the strength and unity, we can organize. Let's build coalitions, all right? So let's take the momentum of the George Floyd, of the Gaza, of the Trayvon Martin, right? Let's take that momentum and then build organizations That's what they did in the 60s. That's why they were so successful in what they were doing. You had SNCC, right? You had the civil rights movement going on, big movement, a lot of mobilization. You had the Black Panther Party, the Nation of Islam. Some of these are radical organizations. Some of these are more civil rights, moderate
But
organizations.
everybody had a role.
Everybody got a role.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Everybody has a
you
role.
pointing out something powerful. I love your question too, man, because that educate. I'm glad you pointed out the character piece, but it is it's not education. You know what it is? It's misinformation.
Yeah.
I took a class, man, a graduate class on dis and misinformation. I never even knew what it was, man. Do y'all realize that they call since 2016 with all of that fake news, they call it in academic circles the post-truth era.
Wow.
That's what they call it in research circles because journalistic principle went out the door.
It's about being first. Not
It's
being
gone.
Right.
It's gone, right? So now there are dis and misinformation campaigns going on. So now they're using AI.
Right.
They're using AI to advance Israel's side, to advance Hamas's side. Don't nobody know. It ain't about education. Don't nobody know what the truth is.
Yeah.
Right?
So this propaganda on a whole new level.
On a whole new level by the ruling classes, whoever they are, right?
So
it's keeping the masses dumb. And so back when y'all talk about white America never being so mad, the masses, we over here fighting with each other and, and over things we don't, to y'all's point about the education. That's why I think you said education. If you don't even know what you ever see them interview the people, they say, hey, what do you think about Kamala Harris's new plan as president? Oh, I don't like it. Oh, she's not even the president.
Right.
yeah, right.
It's discernment.
Yeah.
Right. It's discernment. Being able to hear stuff and discern what's real, what's not real. And like you said, with the technology, it's getting even tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
Right?
So my question for you, Nuevo, but you say you were taking a class and you learned, what is the best way I can make sure I'm not misinformed or disinformed, in your opinion?
Good question.
On the educational side, it's interesting because once I took that class, I'm responsible for making decisions about what 30,000 students learn, right, in my career. And what I did with that information was put in the curriculum the strategies that are now being used to deal with that. It's called lateral reading. We talked about it a little bit here. So it's huge right now. Digital literacy is the new buzzword. I don't just need you to know how to use a computer. I need you to be literate on the computer, right? So what we do, what the strategy is, it's called lateral reading because when everybody researching on the internet now, when you open that window, we used to do horizontal reading. You read it, you go straight down. Lateral reading is I open up that window, then I open up another tab and I fact check what I just read and see who wrote it. And what you easily finding out is a lot of these articles that look like they're coming from reputable news organizations and nonprofits are paid think tanks on party sides, and you can easily find that out. So the strategy is to teach students how to properly navigate determining what information is accurate. On the street level, I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because that's in classrooms. Yeah. And that's very, revolutionary. Like, what I'm doing is, one of the first districts trying to combat that, man. But it's a battle so bad that when the researcher, the lady that the class I took is Dr. Sarah McGrew. She is one of the leading researchers that does it, that did the research. One of the studies they did, bro, they tested students in high school, teachers in high school, students in college, and historians, and put content in front of them and say what's true and what's accurate. The historians was the worst.
Wow. Right.
So I don't know what we're going to do besides in our families, man. Remember, this is the biggest thing, because we've been talking a lot about controversy. The biggest thing is we better make sure our black, brown, and poor and people that care, I'm including all the race, whoever cares, we better make sure that they know and understand that there's a huge game going on in a battle for the minds of people right now. And you better make sure your children understand that our country is actually worse off than we were about 400 years ago. Absent physical chattel slavery, but the mental slavery beyond race, I'm talking about people locked into materialism, people locked into all of these isms. All of us in jail and locked up right now. To deal with controversy, it starts with knowing, so, but that's very powerful. Brothers, the last thing I would just say to y'all as peers though, man, when we dealing with situations just on a regular basis, like you're in your friend groups, somebody talking about somebody mess with somebody's girlfriend, and you just happen to be involved. What's y'all's take these days on dealing with that when it seems like so much can blow up with social media so fast and all of that stuff? Is it just getting low and you know what I'm saying? Like, cause Diddy's son responded with the controversy with a diss track.
Right.
What do y'all got to take on?
I mean, my take on that, especially with dealing with relationships, is anybody you have a relationship with, whether it's family, wife, friends, you guys need to operate off a certain code. It's certain things that we just don't do, right? And no man, no woman is above that code, right? No one is above the law. If you guys operate off so if I see, John talking about Nuevo, and it's in a manner that I don't think is brotherly, I'm gonna say, what's going on? Hey, Nuevo, come over here. Hey, y'all got an issue? What's going on, bro? You
So
understand?
just
We
being
don't talk about
community
each
about
other.
it.
Yeah, we gotta have a community oriented approach to this.
So when you say code amongst your peers, how you determine how do you determine, like, hey, this is what we do, this is what we don't do? I guess when you deciphering who you deal with.
That's a very nuanced question, and it's a beautiful question, because sometimes that comes by way of trial and error. Sometimes that comes by way of us having the same belief system, right? If we all in the church, the Bible says this.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be operating off what Jesus said.
That's right.
What did his disciples do in this situation, right? If we're
But
not
y'all
religious
23,
people,
y'all ain't talking about Jesus and the disciples when y'all talking about.
hey, some people are.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
A might not be will, but basically what I'm gonna say is that those are actually things that you're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys, y'all being boys to men, y'all been married for years, y'all done had children. And before you get married, I'm sure y'all had a lot of, tough conversations. How do we deal with this situation together? How are we gonna do it? And some of it came by way of trial and error. And that's just the way this life that we live in works.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say on the marriage side, I hope y'all do that. We ain't do that.
We ain't know the hell. He did what? Oh man.
Nah, but good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Hey, it's beautiful,
man.
Chop. You got any final word with the brothers, John, or questions for them?
And I just like I said, man, just appreciate y'all, love y'all fellas, and so proud of y'all, man, and what y'all doing, what y'all continue to do.
Yeah.
And we always here for you, and I know y'all be there for us when needed as well. And that's a great question you brought up too, Darius. You talked about what basically you can do it on a micro level or a worldly level about what makes the victim become a perpetrator or a protector.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we talking about it from the Israel-Palestinian thing to the individual portion. I always think about Mike Tyson, right? Because he used to be bullied. This dude was sexually molested, right?
Right.
Now he turned into the baddest man on the planet,
Yeah,
right? So now check this out. He had to be a lion, so now he can be the lamb that he really is. You feel me? And well, now he's about to fight again. But it's interesting. So I guess I always talk about we always want to instill the best in our children, not the worst of us or the weakest part of us, right? And so we always got to recognize sometimes if we overcorrecting, sometimes, you know what I mean? And nah, man, just proud.
I think my final word, I'm definitely proud, but not even just the proud thing. It ain't even beyond that, man. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because the proud part is, as a parent, you definitely proud. But then when I can see, all this stuff, the stories they tell, like when Darius talk about I had to be the best player, I was there. I seen it. I was at practice. You know what I'm saying? But to see them, that's why I could say on the other end of that, yeah. But look at you now, because I know what it did to you. I know the young man you were, and now the powerful 30-year-old, like, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's beautiful. And I think the other thing, man, we point out too, is at the end of the day, man, I know for me at the worst times of my life, the most controversial times of my life, what ultimately worked out was patience and prayer in
Yeah.
every situation, man. And just understanding that it's gonna be all right. It is. We time is a construct.
Yeah.
This construct of time put the pressure on us about situations. So unless you about to die like in the next 5 minutes, what's the pressure? And if God done already worked out everything and you done seen him work it out for granny and mom and dad when they was down and me when I was down, it's gonna be all right. So when dealing with controversy, just remember that. Be patient and encourage the people you love that you deal in it with. Man, just chill. Because that's what you did when you had 4 Klansmen in your car. That's what my brother Rodney did when he was in a restaurant in West Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Tariq did it when he decided this isn't the time for me right now to do that in my journalistic walk. You know what I mean? And then we gonna win. It's the B2M crew chopping it up with our son. What we gonna call it now? We got B2M plus to the second power, whatever. But
Next level.
talking about
Next
dealing
level.
with controversy, and we'll be back next week. Darius, can you take us out?
I don't know what he be talking about. It's something about a Frederick Douglass quote.
I know it. I know
Go
it.
ahead.
I'm gonna let him do it.
In the words of the great Frederick Douglass, it is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men.
And we out of here. Peace.
job.
And I won't stop until I'm winning. I'ma show 'em how true and independent get it. Whole game changed by the time I finish with it. We about to get this business handled in a minute. And I won't stop until I'm winning. They don't want me in the office 'cause